Do you have issues with sleep and managing your blood sugars? Then this video is for you. Did you know that people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes have a harder time managing their blood sugars whenever they have poor sleep? And here's the reason why. So, whenever we wake up, people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes may experience higher blood sugars in the morning, and it's troublesome to try to come back down. And one of those terms is called Dawn's phenomenon, because whenever people wake up in the morning, majority of the time, our body is releasing stress hormones such as cortisol, epinephrine to signal our body to wake up and prepare itself for the day. And cortisol actually tells the liver in our body to release more blood sugars so that it can then move into our brain and into our organs and into our muscles so that we could be prepared for the day. The biggest issue with people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes is insulin resistance. So the body has a harder time moving those blood sugars and responding to that insulin to open up a door into the cells, the organs, the brain, the muscles to be used up as energy. So whenever insulin has a harder time opening up that door, then that leaves the blood sugars to stay higher for longer periods of time, leading to this thing called Dawn's phenomenon, where there's higher blood sugars in the morning and has a harder time trying to come back down into ranges. Because stress has a big impact on how blood sugars are moved. Anytime that we have a stressful event of waking up in the nighttime, whether it's to go to the bathroom or waking up to shift and move around in our sleep because we're feeling too hot, or maybe it's waking up because of some noises that neighbors are making that's not allowing us to fall asleep, or maybe it's too bright outside because of the light coming through the windows or the shades that's preventing us from going to bed. That can actually lead to our body waking up, sending those triggers to raise our blood sugars, trying to fall back asleep. But when blood sugars aren't able to put itself back into regular levels again, it then spikes up again and again and again if someone wakes up multiple times throughout the night. So this video is going to be highlighting some tips on how people can improve their sleep habits and improving their blood sugars. After all, a third of our life is spent sleeping. So if we can optimize our life, improving our sleep habits, that can significantly help people in improving their blood sugars, allowing their body to recover up more effectively, and putting the body in such a high state of stress to something that is more calm, relaxed, and is able to manage the blood sugars appropriately. Because when we are more rested, then the body is able to become more insulin sensitive and utilizing those blood sugars to help be used as fuel and energizing us throughout the day. So, in order to improve our sleep, it depends on what our sleep hygiene looks like. For example, if someone has a hard time falling asleep because of the lights that are going on outside, the major thing is, can someone invest in blackout curtains and investing in an eye mask that helps to block out the vision and the light so that someone can fall asleep a lot more easily if they are very sensitive to that. And how that happens is whenever light is hitting our eyes, that is actually triggering our body to release more hormones to wake us up and go about our day. So, for example, imagine someone's going to bed and then all of a sudden flashlights are being shot onto someone's eyes. Of course, that's going to induce a stressful state. Blood sugars are going to be higher up to try to prepare that body to move out of that situation and prepare to address whoever is having that flashlight and shining it straight down in someone's eyes. But instead, if there is a eye mask that helps block out the light, that actually allows someone to fall asleep more faster because that's preventing the light from stimulating things in our body to release more hormones and be prepared for that stressful thing. Instead, that could allow us to sleep more effectively throughout the night. So that's one way to try to help improve our sleep habits, something that's low cost, pretty affordable that anyone can try to help improve our sleep habits and improving those blood sugar levels. Another tip that can help someone is in case if their neighbors are loud and it's causing them to wake up multiple times throughout the night, things that someone can install or utilize is some soundproof headphones or earmuffs. If they sleep on their back, then that's a pretty good choice. However, if they're a side sleeper such as myself, I find a hard time trying to sleep on something and it just causes more pressure on my ear. Not super fun, can't really fall asleep in that way. So instead, something that can be helpful is installing some white noise or noise mixer, that'll actually help allow the sounds to be blended and incomprehensible to the point where it's easier for someone to fall asleep because it's more of a constant sound that's not going to have changes in the pitches that causes someone to wake up through that hearing. For example, it's easier for someone to fall asleep to a vacuum noise versus someone who's trying to fall asleep when they're hearing an argument. Because whenever someone hears that argument, their brain interprets those words as something else. The brain stays turned on, more in a stressed out state, and having us be a bit more alert, more aware, and not allowing our body to enter that sleepful cycle. So by installing the noise blender, if that's making like a vacuum noise with the same pitch throughout, our ears are able to adjust to what that sound and that frequency is so that we have an easier time falling asleep at that exact same frequency and ratio without waking up as much. That's if someone's a side sleeper, such as myself, and they need something to help block out some of that noise. Other things that could be helpful as well for improving one's sleep, if their eyes are not an issue, if their ears aren't an issue, but if their breathing is an issue, something that I would highly recommend for folks, because in case you didn't know, I'm a diabetes coach. I've had prediabetes back in 2021. I was able to reverse it in 2022, and I've kept it in remission for many years now. It's being able to take a sleep study and understand how our breathing mechanics are when we're falling asleep. So if someone has some obstruction that's going on in their noses, in their mouth, or some other things that's preventing them from going to bed, a sleep study hosted by a medical professional is super helpful in identifying what those blocks are and identifying if a machine or equipment is helpful for it. There's this thing called a CPAP machine. Basically, it's continually pushing air into someone's nose and their mouth to help them get enough oxygen to supply their brain and their muscles to relax and recover more effectively and falling asleep better. For people who are snoring a lot, for people who have a hard time with congestion, they may benefit with that because that allows that sleep study to actually put more air into their bodies to go to sleep a lot more effectively and faster. And with that, people who do have that sleep apnea or that snoring, they might not even notice when they're waking up and falling in bed, because I'm sure many people were half awake, but then they fell back asleep, and it wasn't something that I remembered because they only woke up just for a brief period of time before returning back to sleep. So those are different things that the body wouldn't understand or that someone would remember. So instead, by having that machine to be helpful to allow more oxygen to come through, that'll help that body to relax a lot more, prevent someone from waking up to change a position, to breathe a lot more effectively, and improving one's sleep. Of course, with the machines that are out there, the learning curve of how to use it and the machine being stuck on someone's face as they're sleeping, it's probably going to be uncomfortable for the first week to 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. However, the payoff is significant. It's been helpful in reducing blood pressure, helpful in improving someone in lowering their blood sugar scores, and improving someone's health and longevity to reduce risk for heart attacks. So it's very beneficial to have a CPAP machine or even having a sleep study done to figure out what options are available to help address the breathing issues to allow someone to sleep more effectively. So that's just something that's out there in case someone is struggling with more of that breathing aspect. And then other tips as well for someone trying to fall asleep is instead of watching videos or having the TV turned on immediately right before and trying to use that to fall asleep, try to replace that with something else, maybe 2 hours before, because our screens, electronics, they emit different forms of light that actually triggers our mind and our body to release more of those hormones to keep us awake and trying to keep us focused and alert for whatever activities are going on. So by changing that and having it be like reading a book, using a low dim light, maybe candlelight if someone prefers candles, that might be a way to help transition from looking at electronics to something not as bright that stimulates the brain to stay awake and alert. Instead, it's able to help someone transition to go from, hey, I had that work day, I'm looking at some stuff to try to kill my boredom, to instead, okay, now I'm able to relax a bit more, I'm able to focus on getting ready for bed, and then actually allowing bedtime to be real bedtime rather than laying in bed and doing other activities that our brain may associate as something that we need to stay awake for. And the goal is to go to sleep, so why not fall asleep rather than the other aspects for that? And then same thing goes for if someone has to wake up in the middle of the night and you pee a lot, then trying to limit drinking a lot of water or liquids right before going to bed. Similar thing, if it's 2 hours before, try to reduce the amount of fluids that someone drinks. Then by the time bedtime comes around, maybe small sips of water here and there if their mouth gets dry. That's a way to help with allowing their body to avoid getting overhydrated and needing to pee a lot at the middle of the night. Of course, hydration is still a good thing because our body needs that water to recover and improve our body to feel more rejuvenated, improving our blood sugar control. So it's understanding what time points would work better for someone. So hopefully those are tips that can help yourself improve your sleep. I know this has been helpful for myself for using the tips of using an eye mask, using noise canceling headphones whenever I sleep on my back, but when I'm a side sleeper, I just put on like a noise blender. And the sleep studies, that's been helpful for the clients that I've worked with as a diabetes coach. So different options are available to help assist you with that journey. And please, if you found this video helpful, subscribe and comment down below what your favorite tip is and share this with anyone you think it'd be beneficial for. Because after all, someone receiving a sleep study that could save someone's life and preventing a heart attack from happening and improving blood sugars in the long run. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next video.